is emergency preparedness. And we have two speakers for you. We have Maria Church, who is the Access and Functional Needs Program Coordinator with the Kentucky Department for Public Health, the Division of Public Health Protection and Safety, Emergency Preparedness and Response Branch. And along with her is Kenneth, who is an EMT. He is with the Community Health and Medical he's the manager, of the Community Health and Medical Operations with the same Kentucky Department of Public Health, Emergency Preparedness and Response Branch. Okay, so they are up now, and let's give them a hand for coming all this way.
So Susan wasn't wrong. We are a little mental.
A little bit. Oh, well. A little bit.
Can everybody hear me? Pretty good?
You might not like the mic.
I've never been accused of being especially quiet.
I can attest to that.
Okay.
So, as Susan mentioned, I work for the Department of Public Health. I had the privilege of meeting Teresa Thomas when I worked for Lexington Fayette Division of Emergency Management, and both Ken and I are veterans, so we have a different perspective of life that has taken us throughout the country and be able to work with a lot of people of different backgrounds. And so we want to be able to bring what the military and preparedness to deploy, preparedness to respond, preparedness to help. We've been able to bring all of that background with us to the Department of Public Health. And Teresa still continues to engage with us. And one of the things that she was able to do in December was attend an exercise. And I'm not sure if you guys know this or not. The Department of Public Health is prepared to stand up a point of dispensing. If there is a mass need to quickly distribute medications that could save your life if you've had exposure to a number of things, such as anthrax or all kinds of stuff, she came to an event where we simulated this exercise. And now these are really hard things to try to conceptualize, but these things can and have happened around the world. And in Kentucky, we have plans to do that. So I was able to invite her, and I think it was Karen, maybe? Who would take Jackie. I think you're right. She attended with her, and to see this, and it was chaotic. But let's face it, if you are scared, you're going to want to have the knowledge, for you guys to have the knowledge that there are plans in place, and we try to improve upon them. And so we want to make sure that you, as citizens, have some tools and some background knowledge on how you can best help yourself. Because if your plan, Ken has this sticker, it's amazing, you know, hope is not a plan. I just hope it doesn't happen, because you'll be calling 911 along with your 10,000 nearest neighbors. And guess what? There's a lot more of us citizens than there are responders. So you have to be prepared to help yourself for at least those first 72 hours before you can realistically expect somebody else to come save your bacon. Okay? So, so why? Kentucky has, as you guys know, in 2025 had more than its share of events. We had 5 federally declared events in the state of Kentucky in the first 5 months. Fortunately, the last half kind of let us catch our breath. But emergencies can and will always be a chaotic thing. And they are stressful, and especially if you have failed to prepare. Show of hands, who has a first aid kit in their car?
I don't have a car.
Okay, what about in the home?
Yeah.
I'm hoping more of those. All right.
No car.
So what about, who has a week's worth of non-perishable supplies where they can get to them quickly? All right, good, we're going in the right direction. But I bet you we probably have thought of some things and recommended some things that you might not have thought of. And so we want to help bridge that gap. So for those who have vision, hearing, mobility impairments, those are going to be extra challenges to what is already a challenging environment in an emergency situation. So that standard advice or instructions that is provided by a lot of, including FEMA, assumes that there are no disabilities, but we know that there are. And the percentage of the disability community in the state of Kentucky as a whole, just one single disability, is 18%. Multiple disabilities, that can go up to 35%. That's a lot of the population who's going to need extra support. So that having an accessible plan is going to save time and lives. And we want to help do that. So the three core principal issues that we're trying to deal with is make things accessible, make the resources accessible to everybody. Don't plan on I have a plan or I have a kit, because you might not be. If there's a disaster here, who has their kit with them? Yeah, see where the problems happen? You have to plan for where you're going to be, the places that you spend time with. So we definitely want to make sure that there's something here to help people if they are found and trapped in this location when something occurs, okay? And then keep it simple. Who's heard of KISS? Keep it simple. Yeah, exactly. I was gonna let you guys fill that one in, right? So think for your home, when you're away from home, when you're in your workplace, a place of worship or anything, or when you go on vacation. That's one of the things that a lot of plans don't always consider, that there are highways where people are coming through out of state. And if they get caught in the middle of that, odds are if they don't have something in their car, they're going to be in trouble. Okay? Critical information is that the information about yourselves is in a format that can be understood by somebody. I keep in my wallet a list of all my medications and my diagnoses of diabetes and hypertension. Because if somebody else, they need to know that I'm probably on these medications. Don't give me something that's going to make things worse. Okay? I would definitely recommend you guys consider having something like that for yourselves and your loved ones. Items that are easy to identify by touch and sound. So, in your kit, you guys are familiar with what you put in it so that you can find it quickly. And that's one of the things, when Teresa's come out, she's really challenged me to make sure that she can identify the different pieces by touch alone. So she can maintain her independence the way she likes to have that, to the extent that she wants to have that. Clear organization with no unnecessary complexity. Yet again, let's keep it simple. Think about what you need, what's going to meet your needs, what you cannot live without. Okay? All right. So, and this thing doesn't move. Okay, so I think I got that one. Lord almighty. I'm going to go with that. All right. Choose at least one area of contact if possible. So, who here has multiple family members outside those who live in your household, like an aunt, a cousin, a neighbor, or somebody else that checks on you? Or that, yep, good. Everybody should have one nearby, but you want somebody out of state.
Or out of area.
State, out of the area. Because the way communication boards happen, if you guys ever try to dial a number and it says, sorry, all the circuits are busy, you guys ever encounter something like that? The circuits might not work locally, but they can work out of area, okay? Somebody needs to know that you're either in trouble or somebody needs to know that you're safe, okay? Program contacts and emergency numbers into all of your phone numbers, make them easy, make them easy to find. Speed dial voice assistants, I'm so sure you guys are all experts at that and have been able to adapt to those needs. Emergency alerts, radios. Does anybody have a need for like a bed shaker or something that's going to alert you that there's something going on? Because you might have a visual need, but you might also have a hearing need as well that may not wake you. There are bed shakers through the Kentucky Commission on the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. They have devices that will wake you up if something's going on at night and you don't have your cochlear implant, you don't have your hearing aid or whatever, okay? Let us know. We can help you put you in contact with the right people to make sure that you and your family are safe in your home. Amazon, Google, and other devices. Technology is really running leaps and bounds. Is anybody here not comfortable operating technology where we are making assumptions that just because this is out there doesn't necessarily mean the individual is comfortable using it? And that is going to be a challenge that that individual has to find a redundant way to ensure that they are receiving those alerts and notifications. And ask for information. That's what we are trying to get through. All right. So there are opt-in databases where you can contact your emergency manager here and here. Who is not from Lexington, Fayette area? Okay.
I'm from Lexington.
Okay. Where are you guys from over here on my left? Tanya?
Henry County.
Henry? Awesome. And I saw another hand back there.
It's Georgetown.
Okay, so am I. Welcome, neighbor. So if Georgetown has E911. So when you call them, there's information from you already that they can see. Now you can give them additional information to say there's a person with a visual impairment in this house, so that they'll know that when they're coming. But I don't know about Henry County. I'd have to.
They don't have much.
They don't have much. Right. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, the state is not equal in what they provide.
Most places now with enhanced 911, that's being adopted more statewide, even in our smaller communities. So it would be a good idea to reach out to them, and a lot of times they can put notes associated with your phone number and your address and stuff, so that way, yeah, so first responders, you know, a little bit more information that can help them help you.
Now, unfortunately, those things go out of date, and they're hard to stay current. People move in, people move out. Their changes need over their their needs change over their lifetime, and people pass on, and you know, people coming in new into the area may not know that that's available, and so they're missing out on that. Same thing I said. Notify people that you work with, that you engage with, what your plans are, what your needs are. Don't assume that they're going to automatically know that just because they talk to you regularly. And keep those family, friends, everybody informed of what your plans are, what you want to do, where you want to go. Emergency information. So, oh gosh, obviously, having something in your wallet is important, but you can also do a voice recording of what medications you take and have that as a voice recording in your phone. Okay? I'm not sure has everybody done that, right? Large print, obviously, audio recordings, like it says right there, digital file on the phone, something that somebody can say, hey, this person has this condition, they have these medications, you know, they might have something internal that simply is invisible to an EMS, emergency medical service, you know? They need to know that. My husband has a, had, past tense, a congenitally defective heart valve. Now he has a pig valve, and I ask him, does that mean you like bacon more? Or like I'm not sure. But you know, he has to have a card that says, you know, I have something funky going on in here. You know, think about those informations that others name: address, emergency contact, medical conditions, a medication list, like I mentioned, and copies of prescriptions. So now a lot of prescriptions, especially the big retail, CVS, Walgreens, I think Kroger and Walmart's pharmacies, and I think even Amazon pharmacy will allow you to keep track of your medications on your phone. And they can stay up to date, especially if doctors changes and you forget to change your card, which I do. I'm terrible about that. And then of course, service animals. I have not seen Teresa's service animal in a while. I'm assuming she still has it? Did not. Okay, no wonder I haven't seen it. So, but I knew her before she had it, so I thought maybe she chose not to, or just simply, you know. But anyway, whatever your service animal needs, keep that information as part of because you need that service animal to be with you. So you need to have information on that resource as well. When I came in, it's just a natural habit. I don't know if you did this, Ken. I thought I could get out that window, but I'd have to step on a table to do it. But it could happen, you know. So you start thinking of 2 ways in, 2 ways out.
No, I didn't know it went in here.
Now there's a door back there. I'm not gonna be nosy to find out, but I'm guessing that doesn't go anywhere.
It doesn't go in.
Yeah,
You
see?
get trapped.
You're trapped. That's okay. I trust you guys not to attack me, so I should be fine. But memorize those routes and landmarks. One of the things that keeps coming back to mind, has anybody visited Mayfield, Kentucky after or immediately after, soon after the tornadoes in December 2021? No. They said even the people who lived there could not recognize what street corner they were standing on because all the landmarks were gone. They had to pull out their phone and look at the map because GPS will tell you where you're standing or pretty darn close. And they had to depend on that to know how to get to where the fire station was. You know, I went out there to visit a long-term care facility that had been directly hit. Fortunately, there was no loss of life, and the training that they had taken, the drill that they did that day, saved lives. We were very happy to have been part of that. But it was everything CGI Hollywood portrays as a disaster. It was everything and then some. So definitely have those plans in place. And like I said, that compass on your phone will help you get to where you need to, even if what you see around yourself is not able to guide you. Now these evacuations, practice at least 2 times a year. I would not just practice how to get out of my house, I would practice how to get out of my congregation's place of worship, out of here. I don't know, I've definitely suggested to Teresa to do a drill. You know, grab a rope, get everybody to hold onto that rope and we can lead everybody out. It can be that simple. Because if it's smoke filled, you're gonna be disoriented. But hold on and we'll get you out of here. Encourage your employer to exercise these plans with you. This practice or exercise should include grabbing your go bag. Yeah, so I have a go bag in my car with me all the time. Now, I'm not always in my car. If I'm not in my car, I'm at home, but I got stuff there. If I'm not there, I'm usually at work. But I try to keep something. And when my kids started driving, I got them 2 things. I got them access to a AAA because I'm not going to go over there to change your tire, honey. Those days are over. And
Do they know how to change tires?
You know what? I wouldn't put any money on it. I would not put any money, but my dad made sure I knew how to do it. But I do my nails. I don't want to break a nail. What are you talking about? But the other thing is, I got them the AAA membership, and I helped them put the kit together for their vehicle. Because if anything, I want to make sure you can at least save yourself, even if it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to try to save anybody else. But I'm hoping that that their scout training kicks in and they're able to help others. Practice, exercise, your go bag. Always keep escape routes and exits clear. It's really easy to let a place get cluttered. All of us in this room trying to exit through that doorway, we're going to bottleneck. Okay? So just keep that in mind. Okay? All right, let's see what else we have. All right, so if for many of you guys, I assume, and this is an assumption on my part, is you come into an unfamiliar place and you don't have somebody guiding you, and you might have lost track of your white stick, that odds are is you're going to be using your hands to feel your way through. If there's been a disaster, if there's been some change in the environment where there's debris, there's hazards, keep a pair of gloves, like hardy working leather gloves in your kit to protect your hands, because your hands are your eyes. Okay? So definitely want to do that. Raised dots or textures or tapes or something that will help light the way. Now, I understand Teresa, I don't know what her visual acuity is today, but I knew that she could see further low in her vision spectrum, not much up here. But so, usually whenever there was something, I would explain to her, put something where I could see that she could sense it. But stair and railings, those are always going to be very hard to find in an unfamiliar setting. So something that allows you to feel but protects your hands at the same time. And obviously, don't move furniture for the sake of moving furniture. If it's not what is it, feng shui or feng shui or whatever, yeah, that could just.
Feng shui.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't even know it, obviously. Yeah, but yeah, no clutter. Try to avoid clutter. All right. All right. So, what you need for accessibility, only you can determine. That's why all of these kits have to be personalized to the needs of the individual taking into consideration that needs change over time. The needs of a child are far different than the needs of an adult. Okay? So that's another thing, is a lot of preparedness plans are made with the adult in mind. And so we have to rethink a lot of things that is suitable for pediatric patients. Spares of what you use, what you need. I'm assuming everybody who uses a cane has a spare one. Yeah. Let's work on that. Backup glasses. I have like probably 5 or 6 pairs of these reading glasses because I buy them cheap because I keep forgetting them or losing them or something. Comfortable shoes near the bed. Why is that? Why comfortable shoes? Yeah, if there's debris and you got to get out of the house in a hurry, you want to protect your feet. And that's one of the things a lot of people in eastern Kentucky during the floods, they woke up in the middle of the night to really loud noise, couldn't make out what it was, things snapping, breaking, and they get out of bed, they're already ankle calf deep in water. How much time do you think there was to grab anything? None.
Not much.
Fire and emergency alarms. I have actually asked, when I've gone to hotels, to ask to see if it's possible, some of the accessibility rooms. As you guys have probably learned, not all rooms are accessibly equal. Some of them are accessible for physical impairment, some of them are accessible for a deaf community, some for vision, some try to cover all, but they're not all the same. So definitely, if you are going to travel, call ahead and find out what level of accessibility the place you intend to stay at has and whether it will meet your needs, as opposed to trying to deal with what you end up with once you get there. Smoke and carbon monoxide, that's what CO stands for, detectors with loud alarms. Obviously, that's going to be more of a deaf and hard of hearing, but like I said, there could be co-disabilities that you're having to contend with. Voice alert alarms, so not just a sound, but what does that sound mean? You know, there's times where in my house, there's something going off and I have no idea if it's a phone, if it's my dishwasher, or you know, what the deal is, because my kids keep bringing technology to the house and I'm like, somebody make that stop. So if it can tell you what is alarming, that you know what to respond to or ignore. But those bed shakers and those vibrating alerts, if they're needed, they are available. Okay? And they can be tied to either like a NOAA weather radio alarm or some other device. Motion sensor lights, hallways, bathrooms, near exits. Who has that in their home? Motion sensors. Yeah. My mom, I call her. My dad passed away in May. My mom wanted to live independently for the first time at the age of 85, and we were scared that she would not take the right precautions to keep herself safe. And so we as children had to become the adult, and she had to accept that we needed to have eyes on her. So we have 2 cameras in the house and one out the front door, one out the back door to help keep her safe. And so every once in a while I'll grab my phone and I'm watching Mom TV. And then I'll see her walking around with her flip-flops and I'm like, woman, you're gonna fall again? Why are you doing that? So she learned that the hard way. She went face first into a gate when she tripped on her flip-flop. Yeah. I'm telling you, parents these days. So yeah, and so that's another thing too. I was like, Mom, you can afford your light bill. Why are you not turning on more lights? You know, I called her and the place is like, you know, 17th century. It's dark as all get out. Flashlights. She is terrible about flashlights. She could never find it. So, you know, we taught her how to turn on the light on her phone. That she's good about carrying her phone. She's not good about charging it. I'm like, what are you gonna do? Throw it at an intruder?
You can't have both.
Yeah, can't have both. Avoid relying on overhead lighting alone, because if lights go out, what are you gonna use then? Yeah, if you can find it and if it's charged.
Charge it.
Yeah, service. Yeah, right there.
Yep.
So, other than Teresa, I don't know who else from your guys' group has service animals.
We have animals.
Right? Right. So by the ADA, an animal is not a service animal unless it's a dog or a miniature horse. Those are the only two that the ADA recognizes as a service animal right now. A miniature horse. It is. So when we did a simulation in December and we talked about these points of dispensing, what do you do if somebody shows up with a service animal that's a miniature horse? And I'm like, oh, you better let them in, otherwise you're going to get sued. You know, because yes, it is. And they are. They have, well, one of the things is they live so much longer. I'm like, yeah, you see where I'm going with this? Yeah. So yes, exactly, yeah.
But they poop
yes, they do.
and everywhere.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like they're not as
yeah.
trained.
Well, no, training, yeah, the training, I'd argue with you. The poop size, I guarantee you they do, because what goes in eventually has to come out. Yeah, they'll tap at the door. They are, you should look it up, they have great videos. Yep. So, you know, actually that too, I do have a dog, I have collapsible bowls in the back of my car, leash. I don't have a harness for her because she is really good, she doesn't tug. So I can usually keep her pretty well controlled. I don't have her vet records, but here's the thing, if you are in a shelter, if you've had to evacuate to a shelter, and you have your service animal there,
Or a pet.
Well, yeah, that's a different story. But if you have your service animal there with you, and there is a concern that your animal has gotten injured, and they need to check on what can a vet provide and not provide, having those medical records for your animal available is going to be very important. Having a familiar toy or a blanket, because this can be chaotic for everybody. They're out of their environment. We can talk to you and you can reason through why it is that you're in a shelter and how long you're going to be there. You can't explain that to an animal. You can try to give them comfort by having a familiar item. Okay? Now, service animals do need that emergency planning just like people do, because guess what? During COVID, we all wore these masks. You cannot PPE an animal. And they're going to be exposed just like others. Okay, so there are illnesses that cross species. I'm sure you guys have heard of those, right? So that too can happen. So we put together some stuff. I'm going to hand some stuff out. Well,
Can you imagine seeing a dog in a mask, a face mask?
Well, I'm not putting a muzzle
I
on.
do.
So does anybody have any questions for Maria? We're gonna have plenty of time to answer questions afterwards too, but is there anything that anybody's got something that really? Yes, sir.
Can state checker be hooked to low blood sugar or low blood pressure or whatever?
Yes, they have those watches that will look at your glucose level. I'm diabetic, so my diabetes is well controlled with diet and medication. Now, if I'm away from my medication, it's gonna tank. Now, I don't take insulin because I don't need it on a day-to-day basis. I don't know. I've only ever had one instance where my blood sugar tanked and I wasn't prepared for it, but that was more of a, well, my husband was having open heart surgery and I forgot to eat.
I bet there is something, but I'm gonna look into that
Yeah.
out of curiosity. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mother can't hear her alarm.
Yeah.
If that's laying on the table and vibrating, she still don't hear it.
Yeah.
You shake her bed a little bit,
Yes.
she'll wake up.
She'll know.
She'll know, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I have these large print ones, but we also brought some gift bags that have a magnetic one that can be slapped up on your refrigerator. But Ken's gonna take over. Any other questions that I can answer? Okay.
So my name's Ken. So I'm a firefighter paramedic by trade. I retired from Nashville Fire. I'm retired military. I've done a lot of different things in my life, but now I lead an incredible team across the state. I've got 26 employees. I've got 5 supervisors, and then I've got coordinators from Paducah all the way to Eastern Kentucky, and their whole job is to keep our community safe. to prepare our healthcare systems, our local health departments. They work with EMS, emergency management, and anybody you could think of that's involved in emergency preparedness and response. My role as leading this team also is during disasters, I report to the State Emergency Operations Center. So I'm in the State Emergency Operations Center, and we've got different, we call them emergency service support functions, where like the fire department's there, and communications is there, and transportation, and logistics, and just all these different ones. And we're the health and medical part of it. So during this recent ice storm, I had the pleasure of driving in that wonderful weather from Danville to Frankfurt, and I actually left on, the weather started to come in on Saturday, and I was like, I'm gonna go stay at our warehouse. So we have a warehouse in Frankfurt, 108,000 square feet, full of stuff that we can assist communities with. So we have some sleeping rooms up there and other stuff, because we're a 24/7 operation, especially in an emergency. So I hit the road, I stayed up there, and then I drove into the state EOC that Sunday morning, and all the snow and ice and all that wonderful stuff. But we're coordinating that whole response effort. We had, thankfully with this one, power outages didn't hit quite as bad as we thought. The southern part of the state, Somerset, down in that area, they really got kind of hit a little bit harder. We had to evacuate a personal care home. They had lost electricity, they had lost heat. We had 40 plus residents of this, kind of an assisted living kind of personal care home. And you know, that's where our team shines. So our team comes together and they start working with the local emergency managers, EMS. It's like, all right, what are we gonna do? And we've built community partnerships. So we already have a place that was pre-planned at a church. We already have sheltering equipment and trailers we can take to that church and set up a shelter. We move the residents there, we take care of them for a couple days till the electricity comes back on, and everything's great. So that gives you just a little background of kind of what we do up at the branch, just one example. So what we also want to do is make sure our communities are prepared, and that you guys are prepared, because if you're prepared, then we don't have to respond to you. And that's easier said than done when you're talking about 4.5 million people that we have to take care of across the Commonwealth, plus bordering states that we work with. So, meat and potatoes part of this, we're going to talk about how you can build an emergency kit over about a 4 to 5 week period of time. Take little bites at it. You don't have to jump into it and think you got to leave here right away and go to Kroger and Walmart and just start buying stuff. You don't have to do that. If you want to, you can. But just give you some ideas. And once again, like Maria said, this kit has to be tailored to you, and the information that we give you is kind of very generalized. It may not be exactly what you need. There may be stuff that we don't cover that you need. So we'll kind of go through that. So, like Maria said, first 72 hours are critical. When the disaster happens, and most of it is a precipitous event, it's we knew that we were going to have an ice storm. We knew we were going to have bad weather. But watching Bill Meck, he was like, well, if this happens, we may see ice here, or we may not, or we may see it down here. So we really didn't know what was going to happen. And we've had, severe weather days as far as like thunderstorms and tornadoes where we knew we were going to have bad stuff, but where's it going to hit? The tornadoes that hit Somerset and London, we anticipated that event to happen more towards the west side of the state. We didn't see that hitting Somerset and London. I was working the state EOC during that, and we're watching the storm march across. We're watching tornado warnings in Paducah and, in Fulton County and other places. And as it came into the center of the state, it looked like everything was dying out. And then all of a sudden, it hit us. And it was on. So, that first 72 hours, it takes us, even with our proactively standing up stuff and getting things ready and moving equipment, it still takes us time to respond. And when you look at Lexington, and incredible fire department here in Lexington, incredible EMS service. They only have so much. They can only respond to so many people at one time. When you have one fire hall that covers an area that may have 5,000 residents, they can only make one call at a time. So you have to be prepared. Go ahead, Maria. So, week one, we want you to find something to put the stuff in. A backpack, maybe a couple storage totes, you know, something that you can store, and also something that you can move items. So, what I like to call it is you've got your go bag. So I've got my little backpack back there. I've got a few little things in there that I carry with me all the time. So think about something bad happens and you've got to get out of your house or wherever you're at right away, that you can grab this bag and you've at least got a few things to help you out along the way. If you get evacuated right away, the fire department knocks on your door and says, we got gas leak down the road, you got to leave right now. You can grab that bag and you can go to the shelter with it or go to your neighbor's house or wherever they decide to send you. And then think shelter in place. Something bad's happened, the ice storm. You were stuck in your house for 3 weeks. Making sure you can sustain yourself for 3 weeks or have some type of support structure to help you with that. So a stay stash, as I call it, for the whole household. So week one, get something to put stuff in for a go bag and also for what you're going to keep at home. And then pick up some Ziploc bags, some large ones that you can put stuff in to keep stuff waterproof also. Emergency info, Maria touched on that. Make sure that some of the first things that you do when you're building this emergency kit is get some emergency info on paper, in your phone, stuff like that that can be easily shared with other people in an emergency. As a paramedic, when I respond to you, one of the first things I want to know is your medical history, what medicines are you on, what's wrong with you, obviously what's going on today. And it's great when somebody can hand me a sheet and say, hey, here's my husband's medicines that he's on, here's his doctor's name, and everything else. So having that is really important. Emergency contact info. You know, if something, God forbid, bad happens to you and you can't give me that information, who can? You know, who can I call? So, water. Start out with buying a couple of cases of bottled water or some maybe big gallon jugs of bottled water. Stick them in your pantry, your closet, somewhere where you can store those. Water's going to be important. We can't live without water. If for some reason there's no water to your house, you're going to want water. Cash. Start stashing away just a few dollars here and there in that go bag. We use credit cards and debit cards so much nowadays. We don't use cash anymore as much. But if you can't get cash out of the ATM and the systems are down, so when you go to the store, they can't accept your credit card because the credit card machine doesn't work because everything's technology based nowadays. How are you going to pay for a case of water you need or some food or something? So small bills, you know, it doesn't have to be a lot, you know, just a few bucks here and there. Go ahead and read. So that's week one. Moving into week 2 and 3 on that, and like I said, taking little bites. You don't have to do all this at once. More water. Can't stress the water enough. Make sure you've got enough water. Start adding some non-perishable food items for your go bag. And we're going to start building that go bag first. So some snacks that you like, some granola bars, energy bars, stuff that's easily carried. You don't want to put a bunch of canned food necessarily in your backpack because it's going to get really heavy. I think it's something you might have to carry. So dried fruits, nuts, stuff like that. Consider putting a notebook in there, something that you could write some information down on, some markers, pens, pencils, whatever you prefer. And then for your stay stash, maybe in that first couple weeks, next time you go Kroger or Walmart or wherever you go, buy a couple extra cans of green beans and stick them on the shelf. a couple extra cans of fruit, veggies, whatever. And if they don't have the pop open type tops, make sure you have a can opener. Because if you don't have a can opener, you won't be able to get into your cans. So we've gone into the first couple weeks. Week 4 and 5, more water, okay? You're gonna think, golly, how much water do I need?
A
Okay?
lot.
We'll cover that a little bit. And maybe think about something that you can refill with water. The canteen, you know, they've got these nice big cups now you can buy that you can refill with water. Maybe having a couple of those for the house, or at least one per person in the house. So, you know, you can refill that out of your, if you got the big jugs, or if your water is working, you can refill that. Add some more canned items to your household stash. Think about non-perishable, long shelf life stuff. If you go to some of these camping stores, they've got some of these freeze-dried meals and stuff like that. They're small packages. They last on the shelf for like 10 years.
25.
Lightweight.
25 years. They're lightweight, you know, and they're fairly inexpensive. They're a little bit more than, you know, regular food items you would buy, but they last a long time. And consider some canned meats. You know, you can buy like canned chicken breast. If you like Spam, I happen to like Spam. My wife can't stand it. Spam will probably last 100 years. So those little Vienna sausages in the can. So
Coming to your house.
Spam and eggs, love it. So think about some of those canned meats, because you're going to need, you know, we're thinking about if you're stuck in your house for 2 or 3 weeks or something like that, you're going to need some protein. You don't want to eat just vegetables. It's going to get pretty old if you're just eating green beans. Week 6 and 7, you know, we've kind of built a pretty good little kit right now. We've got some water, we've got some basic items, we've got some food items. You've got a great start. Now, as we get into this, we're going to start thinking more long-term and more nicety kind of stuff too. So, a portable charging device, one of those power banks, okay, that you can recharge your phone on a couple times, and making sure you keep that charged up. That's a really good thing to have, especially in your go bag. I actually have one in my bag right now.
Yeah, but a lot of times them just sitting, it drains the battery.
It will.
It's weird.
It will.
I have a reminder in my phone. Once a month, we charge all devices. So
You
it's
have
a
to
routine.
keep up with
But
those.
it's just weird that it just drains when it's not doing
They'll
anything.
most battery packs will lose about 1% of its power per day.
That's interesting.
So think about that. Now the new lithium batteries that they're coming out with, and some of these new lithium gel products, they're staying charged a lot longer.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're more expensive, but
I guess it's
Right,
worth it, right?
right, yes. So think about that, think about extra phone chargers. Having an extra phone charger in your go bag. If you have to go to a shelter and you don't think about grabbing your charger, now you've got to charge your phone, but you don't have cord to charge it. I'm sure there's probably gonna be somebody there you could borrow one, but having an extra one would be great. An extension cord, surge protector, make sure you got some of that maybe in your stash. And then once again, what are we gonna do more of? More food and water, okay? You know, at any point in this, you think, I have definitely got enough water.
No.
You probably don't, believe it or not. Water consumption is really gonna vary on the weather and your activity and your personal needs. Some of us drink a whole lot more water than others. You have medical conditions that cause you to drink a whole lot more water. I take a diuretic every day. Water goes from one end to the other, and I'm drinking water some more. So, you know, plan for at least 3 liters of drinking water per day per person for 3 days. So when you start doing the math on that, it really kind of adds up on how much water you need. And then throw a few more canned items in there, whatever you want, whether it's canned meats or whether it's some more, you know, like heater meals or something like that. Yes, ma'am?
I noticed
more and more, like you get tuna in a pouch, you can
Yeah.
get chicken in a pouch,
Yeah.
you get, now we have chicken noodle soup in the pouch,
Yeah.
so it's more
can-
lightweight and you don't
right.
need a
Can
opener.
You can buy pastas that are like already cooked in a pouch. You can buy rice. You can buy some other stuff, and it may not taste the best.
But you're gonna live.
So another thing in here that I actually have, I think in a later slide, is throw some salt and pepper in your salad.
Oh, God, yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, I actually, if you come to my office, I have a 4-drawer file cabinet. The bottom one serves as a pantry.
You got hot sauce in there, don't you?
I certainly do,
Gotta
man.
have hot sauce.
Valentina, because I'm Mexican and we're gonna live on that.
I mean,
But I mean, it's just so like Ken said, we can and have in the past moved to 24-hour operations. We have 5 rooms with beds, so if we need to catch some shut-eye, we can do that there without having to leave. So if I don't feel like going out because it's pouring rain, guess what? I'm gonna pull my drawer open. I'm gonna get me some tuna salad. I'm gonna get me. I even have a personal little crock pot, a little electric crock pot.
Serious.
I mean, hey, I'm not gonna be eating another human being unless I absolutely have to.
So think about that food and water,
Right.
and always, like I said, when you look at it and you think you have enough, you probably don't. Go ahead.
Here we go.
Yep. Oh, okay. Over-the-counter medications. You may want to add this, sooner rather than later. Throw some Tylenol, some ibuprofen, antacids, especially if you're going to be, if you have to leave and go stay in a shelter for a couple days, the food that they're serving you at the shelter may not be your normal diet, and now you've got indigestion and heartburn. So having some antacids in your go bag is definitely a plus. Multivitamins are a good idea, especially if you take anti-diarrheal would be an excellent one. Kaopectate, Pepto-Bismol are your friends. Get like the chewable tabs.
Mm-hmm.
That would be great. Multivitamins, if you take vitamins every day, make sure that you can continue those. Yes, ma'am.
I keep a very, very good stock, medical background, so I have lots of stuff.
Hey.
However, he had an episode a couple of weeks ago, ill, and I go into my cabinet that has all my stuff. I had everything you needed, Flonase, throat spray, paper rub, all that. Every bit of it was expired.
Yeah.
I had bottles that had not ever been taken, double bottles, NyQuil, never been taken out. We've not been ill since 21. So if you've got stuff stocked, dump it and get new. Because I'm doing that right now, restocking.
So my unofficial, this is being recorded, so it's officially unofficial. Over-the-counter medications that are sealed and stored properly are going to last a lot longer than the expiration date.
I know, but
Yeah,
I didn't
but
want to risk it.
If you're talking about some of your prescription medications, some of those will break down faster, so you really have to pay attention to those expiration dates. So you may have extra blood pressure medication at home. You may have extra metformin or whatever you take for diabetes. Those do not have that shelf life like some others do.
And they weaken.
And they
I
exactly,
was just about to
weaken.
say, they don't necessarily expire, they just might weaken.
Right,
Right.
so, so your cardiac meds, stuff like that, so definitely keep up with the expirations on those. Thank you for bringing that up.
Especially the aspirin, I hear that's dangerous when it gets old, isn't it?
But when it's very old.
Or is that just a myth?
Smell like vinegar or something.
Yeah, you can pretty much tell when aspirin's bad. It smells bad, yeah.
Gross.
But, like I said, if it's sealed, it's when it's exposed to air.
And stored.
And how it's stored
Yeah.
makes a big difference. Personal hygiene items, think about that for your go bag. If you end up going to a shelter, it'd be nice if for some reason there's not a shower there, you gotta go a couple days, having some baby wipes, a toothbrush and toothpaste. You really may wanna add that earlier than later in this list. I've got it on week 8 and
Well, they
9.
have like toothbrushes now that have the toothpaste already
Yep.
in it.
Embedded in the bristles, yeah.
So,
And
So,
one,
just saying.
right, and so
Yeah.
there's a lot of assets the Department of Public Health owns that are deployed as part of our response strategies. Shower trailers are some of those assets, because you might be displaced, but if you're clean, it's an automatic mood lifter.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
And brush your teeth.
Yeah, yep.
Definitely.
Go ahead. So working kind of week 10 and 11, and we're looking at this as like a 20-week kind of process. First aid kit. You know, Maria mentioned that, having a small first aid kit in your go bag. You know, just some simple stuff, some Band-Aids. You know, you got a little cut on your finger or whatever, or your arm, you got a Band-Aid, you can throw it on there. Poncho or a light rain jacket, I think is really important. Yeah.
Hefty bags.
Say.
A small blanket to put in your go bag. You know, you can find some of these little compact kind of travel blankets and stuff like that. Having something like that is definitely something to consider. I've got more water if needed and food. You know, so take a look at what you have. You know, if you got 4 cases of water at home right now, and it's just 2 of you in the house, that's probably going to be good for you for a couple days. You know, but you can, once again, you can never have enough. Week 12 and 13, you know, we're just past the midpoint on building this out. Now's a good time to really look at what you bought, re-inventory it, and start adjusting it as needed. You know, you take a look at it and say, wow, I got like 35 cans of green beans in here. I'm really going to rotate some of that out and maybe put some other stuff in there instead. So, you know, re-inventorying that. Have a plan to rotate your food and water. You know, you buy that initial stash when you got a couple cases in the pantry. Then you buy another case when you go to Kroger. You take the oldest one you bought out and you use it, and you put that newer one in there. So rotating that stock, keeping things kind of fresh. You know, we talked about the prescription medications. Throw a few trash bags in there. Trash bags can be used for a whole lot of different things, including poncho. So extra sealable Ziploc bags, you know, stuff to keep things safe, keep things dry. And add, you know, now's a good time to maybe see, you know, how many dollars do I have in my little stash? Well, I got 30 bucks in there, maybe I'll bring that up to 50 and have, you know, $50 in my stash. Once again, you don't have to have $1,000 in your cash stash, you know, just make sure you've got a little bit in there. Change of clothes, especially, you know, your socks, underwear, and t-shirts. Now's a good time to maybe add that to both, you know, a couple extra t-shirts for your, or socks or something to your go bag. Basic tools. Make sure you got basic tools. I mean, I know I got a workshop full of tools, and I got every tool I need plus more. But when it comes to in my go bag or what I keep in my car, I always keep a little extra tools in there, just some basic stuff. Some multipliers, you know, like a Swiss Army knife, stuff like that. Really could come in handy. You just never know when you might need something like that. Good quality strong tape. Get some good quality duct tape. Don't buy the cheap stuff.
Gorilla tape.
Gorilla tape, exactly. Get some good stuff. Because when you need it, you're gonna need it, and you don't wanna buy the nothing against dollar store. You don't wanna buy the dollar store brand that's not gonna stick to anything, that's gonna tear, and you're just gonna get frustrated. Food and water, do you have enough yet? Maybe, maybe not. Flashlights, we talked about that. You know, you can buy these little LED flashlights now. That's something you could buy at the dollar store. You know, they're cheap. In fact, we're going to give you one today. It's got the little button on the back of it. They're really nice and bright. Have a few of those laying around your house. Put them in different drawers. Put one in your go bag. Have one in your purse. Whatever. Put one in your pocket. Yeah, headlamps are great.
Here's my little go bag. It's clear. Picked this up at Walmart. Actually, this is the medium size. The smaller one is in my purse, and the larger one I keep at work. I can see everything that's in it. Everything that I need is in there. Everything from a multi-tool to medicine to first aid kit, lotion, you know, just the Flonase.
I like the fact you have
Basic
chapstick
stuff.
in there.
Yeah, I do.
For me, that's essential.
It's got
Chapstick's
half.
You'd be surprised.
Kleenex.
Lips to chaff, you end up miserable.
Yeah.
Solar-powered lantern or lights. I'll tell you what that people don't think about is these inexpensive landscape lights are awesome. the store, you stick them out in the sun, and they charge up, and then you bring them in the house because you don't have any power in your house, and you got light. So just something to think about there.
Put like one in the bathroom.
I put consider candles as a former firefighter and firefighter paramedic when I talk about open flames and disaster scenario.
He breaks
I
into
do
hives.
not like that.
I
So
ran by. You don't use candles.
then you start adding disabilities and other things, and even for normal people, normal's a bad word, but even for your general population, I do not like open flames and stuff. But you probably should consider some candles and maybe some lighters and matches, you just never know. Week 18 to 19, we're kind of coming to the end of building this, so now let's start thinking of some comfort items. What do you have laying around the house that you can consolidate into your little stash of stuff that you're gonna keep, off in the corner just in case of an emergency? Do you have an extra blanket that's up in the closet, but instead of keeping it in the closet, let's consolidate it with all of our other stuff so it's all together. You got some old clothes, some old shoes you could throw in there, seasonal items, if you got an old stocking cap, maybe some gloves you could throw in there. So it's all, the key to this, it's consolidated, it's together, and it's ready to go. So if you have to leave, and somebody can help you pull this big tote out and all your water and take it with you, you could. And you're not going to all different parts of your house or wherever and trying to gather stuff up to go. Cards, games, puzzles, books, kind of nicety items. Think if you got to sit in a shelter, what do you do? How are you going to keep yourself entertained laying on a cot or sitting there for 2 or 3 days? Week 20, we're at the end of this. We're going to inventory everything again. We're going to think about what you forgot. What do you need more or less of, when you take a look at that and say, okay, do I really need 20 Yankee candles in my kit? No. So we're gonna re-inventory that. Do you have enough food and water, etc. And you really want to have a solid plan in place too. And practice this plan. Have fun playing with scenarios with your family, with your friends, with your neighbors, with your community groups, with this group here. You guys can sit around and talk about this. Hey, what would you do? What would you do? What would I do? How could we, learn from each other? Working with your neighbors. If you know neighbors that are elderly, have disabilities, that may need help also, making sure that you're sharing information with them. Hey, I went to this great presentation and they told us about this. Did you ever think about doing this? Think about, we talked about, like, if you had to evacuate where you live really quick, how would you do that? And what can you do to make that easier on yourself? At the fire department, of course, we'd go out and we'd talk to schools and stuff, and we'd say, hey, make sure that your family has a plan. If there's a fire, how are you gonna get out of your house? Where are you gonna meet? Have you talked to your parents about, like, if our apartment catches on fire, we're gonna meet out in the parking lot by this lamppost. That was their meeting point. So now, if mom or dad or whoever's out there and we roll up in the fire engine, somebody says, hey, Johnny's not here. So now we're gonna go look for Johnny right away. So having meeting points like that is really important.
Susan has a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just realized it's almost 2 and some of
Okay.
those rides will be getting here at 2. So
Well, I'm wrapping it up right now.
Okay.
So practice and review it. Update your contact information. Practice locating stuff by touch. And keep trusted neighbors, friends, and family in the loop of this, of what you're doing. Final takeaways. Redundancy prevents failure. Simplicity reduces stress. The more you're prepared and self-reliant, the better. We're going to be able to help you also. Like I said, Lexington Fire, as awesome as they are, they may be so busy they can't get to you right away. So you have to be able to kind of take care of yourself. Additional resources, I've got some links up there. There's some websites you can go to, ready.gov, the CDC site. If you Google like CDC Emergency Preparedness, it'll come up with some resources. the American Red Cross. You can always reach out to us. We'll be glad to answer any questions you have. And that wraps it up.
Do you have those handouts too that we just have those?
We can
You
certainly.
can have a copy of that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I will make sure that they're accessible for screen readers,
Yep.
so everybody will have a chance. We did not include any images in here because basically what we need to convey are words, not necessarily pictures.
And
But
and don't forget about your pets in this whole planning process. Make sure you've got a little extra pet food and stuff to take care of your animals too. We don't want to forget about our little furry friends. Or
So
if you
I
have a
was
fish
gonna
tank.
ask, this probably doesn't apply to
Your
most
fish.
people here, but what about smaller children? Because I have like young children.
Yes.
So that's where the customization,
Yeah.
there's a little segment in there, you know, these are the general guidelines on what your kit should include, but you have to consider what are the needs of your immediate family members
Yeah.
and customize your plan
Make
to
sure
meet their needs.
The food and stuff, it's stuff they're gonna eat.
Right.
And stuff to keep them entertained. That's the big thing with the kids.
Gotta keep
The
them
lights
busy.
go out and we can't watch TV and we can't play with our iPad or our
Whatever.
game or whatever.
So, right outside the door, as we leave this room, on the right-hand side, I'll go over there and hand one. We have little tote bags for everybody that's got a couple of stuff in there
On the
to help you guys get started.
CDC site, there's actually some really good stuff on there about family preparedness and talks about involving the kids in
Well, the only
it
reason I
and
ask
stuff
is
like
because
that.
I've seen people do things, like if they know there's gonna be a flood, I've seen them use Sharpies to write things on like their kitchen's arms and things like that. So that's kind of, I guess what I was asking about, like, if you know that something crazy is gonna happen, what is the best way to, like, I guess, prepare children? Because I have a really small one and I have some that's in school, so, like,
And that's another thing to consider when you're talking about your kids, when something happens, you're at home and at school. How's that family reunification? So you gotta think about stuff like that and kind of, schools are really good about planning for stuff and taking care of the kids in an emergency.
That's something you didn't mention, either one of y'all mentioned, but I'm surprised that y'all didn't mention. It's about having a fire extinguisher handy.
Fire extinguisher is super important.
Yeah, I know.
I kind of stayed out of that realm because I was talking more about this part of it, but yes, I should have put that in there.
Yeah,
You should not only have one fire extinguisher, you should have two.
Yeah, I agree.
One is none, two is okay,
Yeah.
three is even better. Because about the time you need that fire extinguisher and you pull it out, it doesn't work.
Oh, wow.
And then you're like, well, crap. So if you got another one you can grab.
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea.
So I'm all about redundancy, especially with stuff like that.
Right.
I have, of course, in my house, I've got a couple of different fire extinguishers in a couple of different places.
Yeah.
but
Lessons
doesn't
learned.
that only work, what about electrical fire?
If you buy just a ABC fire extinguisher, it'll work on most type electrical fires. It will not put out a lithium battery.
Like your cell phone?
Oh no.
Do
So
these usually explode?
there's other extinguishers that are in ABCD, ABCDE that will do stuff like that, and they're a powder fire extinguisher, and whatever chemicals and stuff they put in it will smother that.
So is it better to have one that covers everything versus?
Yes, I have.
Do you get it like on Amazon? Or
Oh, Amazon, Lowe's.
I mean, I've never bought one.
Yeah, usually they're the ABCDE ones, and they'll say right on them what they're good for. They're usually white.